Being frugal does not mean being tight and not being able to enjoy your life. It just means being smarter with your purchases so that you'll have more money left over to spend on the things that really matter to you. So I thought it would just be a good idea to not only remind myself, but to also share with you 12 of my most impactful frugal living hacks. Make sure you stick around for tip number 7, which is an absolute game changer. And as it happens, it's something I'm going to be doing tonight. And I might even be nice and include some footage of it, but only if you hit the like button and the subscribe button right now. I'm waiting. If you're new here, I'm Hannah. I'm married, I'm a mum to a 13-year-old girl, I live in Leeds and I work in project delivery. And I make content all about money, mindset and being more minimalish. Now, I'm just coming off the back end of a fortnight of having quite a lot of work travel. And although I know I'll be able to claim back some of my expenses through work, I also know that due to being away, I've massively overspent in some areas of my budget. So I'm kind of dreading going through updating my spending tracker because I know it's just not going to have been a good month. And my next payday is literally just around the corner and I don't want August spending to be just a duplication of some of July's spending slip-ups. So I thought it would just be a good idea to not only remind myself, but to also share with you 12 of my most impactful frugal living hacks. Tip 1. Know when it has to go. So this morning when I got up, I made myself a coffee, which I like to do on a weekend. Not a big coffee drinker, but I tend to drink it a bit more at the weekends. Anyway, you know when you get to like the end of the jar and there's that little bit of coffee left, it's kind of gone that funny shade of brown, but you think, oh, it doesn't matter, I'm sure it'll taste fine. Made myself a coffee. Let's just say it didn't taste fine. And I ended up throwing the whole drink away. So I'd put sweeteners in there, vanilla, milk, and it all went in the bin. Sometimes it's not worth cheaping out. You just need to know when it's time to throw something away. It cost me more in ingredients and wasted time and energy by making a drink that I then had to throw away, only to make another one. Now, along a similar vein, we've got an elderly relative who doesn't seem to understand food labels, so best before dates and use by dates, and they have made themselves sick so many times by eating food that's past its use by date. And the same can apply with things like makeup, mascara. How many of us have got mascara that's hanging about that should have been thrown away after 3 months or 6 months and we're still using it like a year later? Always check labels because it's not worth making yourself poorly or getting an eye infection just off the back of using something that's past its best. And speaking of food labels, that links in nicely to tip number 2, shop your fridge. Before you even start planning your shopping list, what you need to do is check your fridge and see what needs using first. This is going to minimize food waste and it's also going to save you money on buying new food for the week ahead. Once you know what needs using and by when, you can start to plan out your meals for each day. And then that's when you can add any remaining ingredients you need to your shopping list. And on the topic of meal planning, at least a couple of times a week, I like to use tip number 3. Cook once, eat twice. So as I said at the beginning of the video, we're a family of 3, I work full time and I often have to travel for my job as well. And on top of that, my husband's a vegetarian, my daughter's a fussy eater, and I'm just the normal trouble-free one that eats anything. So even though I have lots of different preferences to cater to, I don't always have the time or the inclination to cook 3 separate meals. I love nothing more than the evenings where I don't have to cook and I can just warm us all up some leftovers from the night before. Some of our favourite leftover meals are things like BBL, which is baked bean lasagna if you don't live in this house, pasta bakes, curries, stews. Most meals actually taste better on day 2 once the flavours have had time to infuse. Plus, cooking enough for 2 meals doesn't just save you time, it also saves you energy because you're not having to use gas or the oven or the air fryer to cook from scratch each day. Tip 4, shop around. In our house, we mainly shop at Sainsbury's for like fresh produce, meat and fish, but there are also specific items that we like to buy from like Aldi, Asda and Tesco. For cleaning and toiletries, I usually go to Home Bargains, and then I also tend to do a quarterly Costco run. Now, as well as picking up the specific items that we know we like from each store, every supermarket runs their own promotional offers. So if you know there are particular brands of things that you like, chances are one of the main stores is going to have it on offer at any particular time. Now granted, this works well for me because most of the stores that I like to shop in are within a roughly 1 to 2 mile radius of each other. Obviously it would be a false economy to drive like 10 miles away to go get a particular item that's on offer at one store if it's not in your local area and you're not going there anyway. But where you can, it definitely pays to shop around and get the best bargains Tip 5, never shop without a plan. Now, whether it's clothes shopping or food shopping, never shop without a plan. You'll end up buying items that you don't need or really want. You might end up with clothes that don't actually go with anything else in your wardrobe, and then you're going to have to spend even more money to buy new clothes to go with the new items. And the worst thing you could ever do is food shopping while you're hungry. You just end up with a trolley full of junk food because you just want it in that moment. Now, speaking of fancying things in the moment, that leads nicely onto tip number 6. Cheat on your subscription services. And by cheat, no, I don't mean scam or share login details. Plus, you don't want anyone else seeing your viewing history and your recommendations and knowing what you really like to watch. Or maybe that's just me. Anyway, I'm a massive House of the Dragon fan, and when season 2 aired here in the UK, I restarted my subscription to Now TV. By the way, let me know in the comments if you're team green or team black, but just know that depending on how you answer that question, we may or may not be able to be friends anymore. So as I'm recording this, we're waiting for episode 7 of season 2 to drop on Monday, and I believe there are only 8 episodes in this season. So you can rest assured that once I've watched episode 8 1100 times, I'll be cancelling my Now TV subscription before it auto-renews. And then when season 3 is all recorded and finally airs on TV, I'll sign up again and I'll watch that one. You should do this with any of your subscription services, so like Netflix, Spotify or Amazon Prime. Now, it's fine if you're actually using them, but if you're not, cancel them and save yourself some money. Tip 7, gift experiences, not stuff. So we've been doing this one for years. When my nephews were small, we would gift my brother-in-law, wife and their 3 kids a family gift rather than individual presents. Now that worked out great for them because they didn't end up with a house full of toys for 3 kids that just end up left out or broken. We'd get them tickets for like a pantomime or cinema tickets so they could go and do something as a family. We often buy family members tickets for things like shows and gigs, gift cards for the cinema or gift cards for meals out, because people are more likely to remember and be grateful for an experience rather than just more stuff that clutters up their home. So as it happens tonight, we're going to see Little Shop of Horrors, which is a family favourite of ours, and I bought tickets for this back in June as a Father's Day present for my husband. It gave us all something to look forward to as a family, and the memories will last much longer than the typical Father's Day gifts of like socks, beer and chocolates. Tip 8, beware of bargains. Never mind beware of the dog, you need to beware of the sales and the offers that might actually be costing you more money than they're saving you. When you're buying clothes especially, pick items that fit your budget, fit your lifestyle, and that flatter you. If you don't really need something, you weren't planning on buying it, or it doesn't match your usual style, then you're basically wasting your money. Now, my body shape has changed massively over the last 3 years, and one of the biggest mistakes I made was buying clothes that were cheap, so either from cheap shops or clothes that were in the sale. Now, often these clothes just weren't good quality. So, you know, like when you buy a top, wear it, wash it once, in line with the care instructions, and it still manages to come out looking like it was made for SpongeBob SquarePants. Comment below if you can relate. And also, I just didn't really feel good about myself in a lot of the clothes that I was buying. I was basically just trying to cover up my shape and hide my body. Now I try to choose pieces that I can dress up or down, that fit my style, flatter my body, and that make me feel sexy and confident, no matter what my shape or size. Tip 9, remember, buy cheap, buy twice. Now, while we all love a bargain and the chance to save money, quite often cheaper items are a bit of a false economy. I've personally never been a huge fan of Primark, but on the occasions where I have bought clothes from there, more often than not, I just find that the clothes start to fall apart in no time at all. Personally, I'd rather pay a little bit more money for a better quality item that's going to last longer, and that isn't going to end up in landfill after just a couple of wears, and then going to cost me even more money to replace. Tip 10, do your research. Make sure you do your research when you're looking to spend money on slightly more expensive items. So a couple of months ago, I decided that I wanted my style to be a little bit more edgy and I wanted to invest in a biker jacket. I knew that I'd be able to get lots of wear out of it because I could style it with jeans, chuck it over gym gear, or style it with dresses and skirts for work as well. But I also knew that they can be quite expensive and I didn't really have the budget to be able to afford an expensive one. Now, I did manage to find one on the high street, so I found one in River Island for like 60 quid. It wasn't the perfect fit and it wasn't real leather, but you know, it looked okay. But I wasn't really massively in love with it, so I waited a few days while I made my mind up and I had a look on ASOS to see if they might have anything. And I found the perfect biker jacket It was £59, so a quid cheaper than the one that I'd bought from River Island. Not only that, but it was made from real leather and it fit perfectly. I wear it all the time, I feel so confident when I wear it, and it looks great. Tip 11, don't automatically upgrade. Now, if like me, you tend to purchase your phone through a contract rather than just buying it upfront outright, don't feel like you automatically need to upgrade when your old contract runs out. If your current phone works fine, it's okay to keep it for a while and just maybe change your phone plan if your current provider isn't offering you a great deal. So I've currently got an iPhone 12, which I've had for like 3 years. It works perfectly fine. When I got to the end of my 2-year contract, rather than continuing to pay £30 a month to O2, I cancelled my contract with them and moved to Talk Mobile, where I now pay like £6.95 a month. Plus, I recommended them to my husband when his contract came up for renewal, and we were both rewarded with a £10 Amazon gift voucher. And speaking of being rewarded, that leads me to my final tip. So last but not least, tip 12. Loyalty doesn't pay. Now, everyone knows that crime doesn't pay, but guess what? Neither does loyalty. I'm loyal to my husband, I'm loyal to my family, and I'm loyal to my friends. But there's no way that I'm going to be loyal to any company that thinks it's okay to bump up the cost of my insurance or my subscription when it comes time to renew. My money spends everywhere, and so does yours, so don't just fall into the habit of accepting the higher renewal price. I recently did this with Virgin Media, so my package was going to go from like £88 to £110 for the exact same thing. I went on the website, still wasn't happy with the deal they were offering, so I phoned them up, spoke to a lovely lady. She upped my package, so I was also going to get movies and sports added, and it's only costing me £80 a month. So I was getting more, but paying £8 a month less than I had been previously. But if I just accepted that renewal price, I never would have got the better package, and I've ended up paying far more. Well, that's all the tips I've got for you today. Let me know in the comments which tip was your favourite. And likewise, if you've got any great frugal living tips, be sure to leave them in the comments too. Thanks for watching, have a great weekend, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.